last weekend of October means one thing on the football calendar. It's week 8 and the final week of the regular season. And what more could you ask for? 2 undefeated teams going head-to-head in Nassau Conference 3. It's the Lawrence Golden Tornadoes and the Plainedge Red Devils coming into a Friday night, both 7-0. Well, hi again, everyone. Welcome to Plainedge High School, and we're so glad you could join us on News 12 Varsity. Matt Shortis along with David Resnick under the lights here at Plainedge High School, and this game was supposed to take place tomorrow, but because of weather, it got bumped up, so we have a little bit shorter a week, but again, what more could you ask for, David? When you look at this matchup coming into tonight, coming into this season, Plainedge was the number 5 seed. A lot of juniors on this team, perhaps a year ahead of schedule. Lawrence, the defending county champs, they expect to be in this position heading into the postseason. Yeah, absolutely. And regardless of what the expectations were, the reality is that these are the best 2 teams in Nassau Conference 3. A rivalry built upon respect and competition, and a matchup that you always expect to go down to the wire like it did last year. What's exciting about this matchup on the eve of the playoffs is that when these teams compete, it's like a playoff atmosphere. For Lawrence, there have been a lot of constants over the last decade or so when they've seen a lot of success in Nassau Conference 3. 1 is a high-powered offense. 2 is somebody with the name Fredericks on the roster. And Christian Fredericks is now in his 3rd year starting. He's one of the most dynamic players on the island. 5th and final Fredericks brother to come through the Lawrence program, and he is dynamic, both as a passer, where he ranks number 5th in Nassau County, better than 1,000 yards, and he's the 7th best rusher in the county as well, nearly 1,000 yards, a mark that we expect him to eclipse in this evening's contest. His counterpart for Plainedge in his 1st year starting, Dan Villani, is only a junior, but his head coach says he looks like a guy who's 20 or 21. That's how much of a physical presence he is. And that was part of the problem, believe it or not, for Dan Villani coming in. Because he had such physical stature, he was just a 1st year starting quarterback, but he looked much older. But over the course of the 7 previous weeks, Villani has learned how to read defenses. He's learned how to put touch on the football, and he's really growing into a quarterback role. He, too, a dual threat, not as dynamic as Fredericks, but he could beat you with his legs as well. So on the eve of the playoffs, the fight for the number 1 seed is up for grabs. It's Plainedge and it's Lawrence. It's all coming your way next, under the lights from Plainedge High School. Just about ready to kick off at Plainedge High School. As we mentioned before, this game was supposed to be played tomorrow, so a shortened week. Amanda Puglisi, she's got more on that.
That's right, Matt, and actually the decision to move the game to tonight wasn't made until Thursday about mid-morning, so that didn't really leave the coaches with much time, and Coach Shaver said that his team doesn't really do walkthroughs, so that meant Thursday they had to stay late, they had to get an extended practice in. And for Lawrence, it was the same story. They actually couldn't practice on the turf because their soccer team was practicing, getting ready for their playoff game tonight. And because of that playoff game, the football team is going to be without Danny Ray as their kicker. Erik Wong is going to be kicking. He played against the Wantagh. He played in the Wantagh game, and they're confident in his kicking abilities.
All right, thanks, Amanda. A kickoff to Lawrence right away, but it looks like the ball might have come out. Plainedge is saying they have it. And they do. So Plainedge kicks off, a turnover on the return, and the Red Devils are in business to start the game here at home. It was the senior Keaton Goldsby who was on the return. Didn't look like a whole lot at the start. Just fighting perhaps for a few extra yards as Plainedge in their kick coverage was sprinting down the field. Terrific start for Plainedge and a great opportunity for them to take a shot and take an early lead. So the Red Devils send their offense out onto the field. They will begin at the Lawrence 30-yard line as they move left to right. On a north-south angled field, they'll head south. It is Dan Villani who leads the offense. With Deon Quinlan to his left, Villani is going to take it running left, plenty of room, close to the pylon, has a first down inside the 20, still on his feet, and it takes a couple of tornadoes to finally drive him out of bounds. It's a Plainedge first down.
Well, Dan Villari, 6'3", 200. He's not the headliner in this quarterback matchup, to be fair, but he turned right back into the field of play. He could have ducked out of bounds and sidestepped to his left, pick up the first down and not take the contact. But Dan Villari, I think, setting a tone there early, looking for the physicality and seeking the defense in the secondary.
It's a pickup of 13 on the first play from scrimmage for either team. Ball is inside the 20 at the 17-yard line. Handoff to Quinlan. He bounces out to the left side, tries to find an edge. Gets a couple of yards there before he is brought down.
2nd and 9.
This is an offense that averages 32 points per game. They had a high of 45 points a couple of weeks ago on the road at Roosevelt. Offensively, they don't go too deep into their depth chart. The guys that are out on the field will primarily play every snap if Rob Shaver has his liking. Pitch left side for Quinlan. Quinlan bouncing it out. Quinlan hops over a defender and then into the end zone. Deon Quinlan is 7th rushing touchdown of the season. And the Red Devils capitalize off the fumble. They take a 6-0 lead.
Dan Villari set the tone with his hard-nosed running. Deon Quinlan continued the trend, taking tacklers with him across the goal line and sprinting back to his sideline in celebration as the Red Devils punctuate a short touchdown drive with some hard-nosed running.
The point after is up and through. And a 7-0 lead for Plainedge about a minute and a half into this game.
Braden Clark adds the PAT. Quinlan, that quick leap in a bit of a jump cut, gets the momentum going. Keaton Goldsby trying to keep him out of the end zone, but a lowering of the shoulder. And Quinlan at 5'8", 180, the low center of gravity and the tenacity to accept the contact and still score.
That almost looked like, you know, the offensive linemen doing drills in summer camp against the dummies, where you have to go under and push your defender off. Quinlan lowered his shoulder and he took Goldsby with him 2 or 3 yards past the goal line. You know, David, one thing we saw in that opening drive, one of the leaders of this offensive line for Plainedge is Dylan Kokoris, senior, 5'10", 220 pounds at the left tackle. Every run on that drive was off to the left side.
They have senior captains at left tackle, center, and right tackle. A lot of their formations, depending on where they are in terms of hash marks, will then determine which side of the field they run to.
So Braden Clark kicks it off again. And Lawrence brings it out to about the 24-yard line, and that's where they will have their first possession of the night. So Christian Fredericks leads this offense out onto the field. A dynamic, high-scoring offense that comes into tonight, averaging 40 points per game. 3 out of the last 4 weeks, they've been right in the 50-point neighborhood. And number 1 in white is a large reason for that. All-County last year, likely will hold that title again in 2018. 4 wide receivers as Lawrence moves right to left to start this contest. Play action, Fredericks flushed out of the pocket. He's in some trouble, dragged down on a shoestring tackle for a big loss. Joe Parlato got in there and brought him down.
Last year, Plainedge really sold out to stop the run, and Fredericks off the play fake scrambling out of a collapsing pocket. And this is a big test for this defensive line for Plainedge, because not only do you have to rush the quarterback, but you have to contain him as well inside of the tackle box.
So big loss on the play. Frederick's in trouble again, and he's dragged down from behind a second time. That time it was Safe Farid, the senior defensive end. And David, we haven't had a chance to mention it just yet, but a little flux on the Lawrence offensive line. That was a big concern for Joe Martellotti coming into tonight.
Yuri Martinez gets the start at left guard as David Manera switches over to center. Both those players starting in that spot, in their respective spot for the first time this season. And in Manera's case, he started as a guard, played left tackle last week, and is now snapping back to Fredericks.
Third and forever. Fredericks will air it out, but a little miscommunication between he and Shannon Simmons. And Lawrence is going to have to punt. So a 3 and out for the Tornadoes, and about as rough of a start for Lawrence as you can have.
And for a team that doesn't want to punt, for a team that is explosive on offense with a slew of playmakers, this is just a field position and down and distance scenario where you do have to kick it away.
Erik Wong on to punt it away. Again, he is not their starting kicker. Their primary kicker is in a soccer playoff game tonight. So Wong gets it away, shallow kick, and it's down to the 39-yard line. So Plainedge now will have 2 possessions so far in this game. The first one began on the Lawrence 30, and this one will start on the Lawrence 34-yard line.
Against a defense for Lawrence already a bit vulnerable, with some question marks in the secondary, and a unit as a whole that's been challenged by their coaching staff to find the answers, especially late, to try to mold and bridge together and find the right 11 players out there to play as a unit. And they'll be challenged immediately, and they'll be challenged repeatedly against this Valari-led offense.
So Valari trying to draw Lawrence off sides. They don't bite. Handoff goes to Quinlan. Quinlan bouncing out left, fighting for a few more yards. And got a couple there, not a whole lot.
Tackled by number 52, Nick Pasquariello, one of the captains of that Golden Tornado.
The linebacker is Nick Pasquarello.
2nd down and 7.
In on the stop.
Starting strong side linebacker. Part of a linebacking unit that handles a lot of the tackling duty as the 4 down linemen up front look to occupy the linemen.
2-man backfield for Plainedge. It'll be a keeper for Valari. Valari's got some space, shrugs off a tackler, spins out of another one. He's down to the 10, still on his feet inside the 5, stumbling into the end zone. Touchdown, Dan Valari from the 30-yard line. How many broken tackles did we see from the line of scrimmage to the end zone, David?
When you make a statement on the first play of the game, it's possible that you are overstating the significance. But if you recall, Dan Valari on the first play of scrimmage, instead of ducking out and stepping out of bounds, he veered back to a defender and into the field of play. Valari that time, the physicality, spinning out and stepping out of the tackles. A player at 6'3", 200 did not want to go down. First, the explosiveness through the hole, and then just the power, the balance, the will, determination, and the drive to get over the goal line with the football for 6.
Unofficial count on that replay, I had 7 different Lawrence players making physical contact with Dan Valari between the first contact and that touchdown there.
We mentioned at the start of our broadcast the evolution of Daniel Villari, who understandably so is a physical force. And so you think that this is a polished player. But what Ron Shaver, the head coach of Plainedge, learned early this season is that regardless of someone's stature and physical abilities, as Erik Uloa is being helped off the field for Lawrence, is that a first-year player is a first-year player. And so while Villari looked the part, he needed the experience in order to grow into the role. And so over the course of now 8 weeks, he's gotten better orchestrating and leading the offense. And he now, on the cusp of the playoffs, looks like a veteran and somebody very comfortable in his role as the quarterback for Plainedge.
And I think that's pretty normal learning curve for any first-year starter, but especially at the quarterback, you hope that they do start to click and they do start to get it midway through the season, and it certainly seems like Dan Villari gets it for sure. 30-yard touchdown run, and Lawrence already finds themselves down 13-0 with this extra point pending about midway through the first quarter. Kick is up and good. That's Braden Clark 2 for 2 on extra points.
Nice job with Douglas Elsesser handling the low snap with his sure hands. Dan Villari putting Plainedge up 2 scores as the Red Devils take advantage of a short field for the second time in this opening quarter. And to see the bodies just draped all over this Red Devils quarterback, the vision, the spinning, protecting the football, and just keeping the legs churning. Maybe there was an arm tackle, Matt, in the beginning, but these are defenders that are lunging at the body, lunging at the shoulders, looking to wrap him up, and he just would not go down. And what a start for Plainedge here at home in a facility that was rededicated earlier this year as part of the Plainedge Athletic Complex. Putting on a show early under the lights.
Short kick, Lawrence basically falls on top of it. Pile's still moving around a little bit, but the play is blown dead at the 35-yard line. David, you mentioned it, this brand new facility. They played one game here last year, a 17-14 win over Wantagh. This is its first full year in use. Video board, nice scoreboard on the far side. Scoreboard above us in the press box. Ball sent to the ground.
And up to number 8, Andres Duran. 4, second down and 6. Safe for Reed with a tackle.
There's Andres Duran.
You know, if you're Lawrence, your offense has great capabilities and you expect a shootout. So 14 points, especially less than 5 minutes in, is not the type of time and score that should make you panic.
No, they've been in some high-scoring games before. Not so much this season. But there are a lot of guys on this roster returning from last year. They've been in some shootouts. 3rd down and 5 after 2 runs from Durant. There's Fredericks with an empty backfield. Fredericks looking to his left the whole time. Zips it over the middle. It's complete to Aquan Walker. And Walker's got a first down in Plainedge territory.
to number 80, Aquan Walker.
You're going to hear a lot of different names being fed the ball in a variety of ways. A lot of these receivers are also capable out of the backfield. And Aquan Walker out of the left slot is a very dangerous, speedy player.
Thrown towards Narelle Falala.
Lawrence throws an incompletion on first down, penetrating as far as it has to this point into Plainedge territory for their head coach, Joe Martellotti, nearing a decade as a head coach and nearly 2 decades in the program.
That's his 9th season as head coach. In those 9 years, 5 Nassau County championships in the previous 8 seasons. 3 LICs as well. Walker going in motion. Joins to the left of Fredericks. The give is to Walker. He tries to find an edge to the right side. Cuts back inside. Upended around the 35. Got another yard or so. And it'll be 3rd and short upcoming for Lawrence.
If you're trying to understand the Lawrence offense, it's a bunch of skill guys that can get to the edge, including Walker, who had that long reception over the middle. And then Durand is the downhill runner, in which Fredericks gives him the play fake.
Here's Fredericks trying to knife his way up the gut. Got a yard or 2. He's still short, though, and that'll make it 4th and 2 coming up.
But here's the difference between Lawrence and most teams. Although I suppose most teams would go for it here. They knew running that 3rd down play, they definitely were going to go for it.
4th down, Fredericks looking to the right side. Looked like it was complete, but a great play on the ball. Knocked away by Luke Lombardi of Plainedge. And a 4th down stand for the Red Devils will give them the ball back.
No surprise defensively for Plainedge, understanding that the defense was going to be on the field for that 4th down, especially when you look at the field position. And this is an open receiver until the very end, and a diving effort for Lombardi. The cornerback closing quickly, forcing the incompletion.
So Plainedge will get the ball back. Let's go down to Amanda. We saw Erik Uloa go off the field a moment ago. What's the latest on his status, Amanda?
Well, it seems that, guys, it's his left foot. The arc is, it seems that he slipped a little bit and he pulled it, he strained it. Currently, they have him sitting on the bench with some ice. They said they're going to ice it up now. They're not going to tape it, but they're going to check back in a little bit and see how he's feeling.
So it would seem that his return is possible at the moment. Give to Quinlan right away. They wrap him up, but still manages to get a couple on 1st down.
4 yards. Fighting his way.
Luke Lombardi, a junior who splits time between wide receiver and running back offensively. But how about showing his worth on the defensive side of the field? Because that was as good as of a completion. Comes out of nowhere to knock that ball away. Second down and 7. This is the deepest part of the field that Plainedge has started in. The other 2 drives began in Lawrence territory. Empty backfield for Dan Villari. Villari dropping back, pocket closing around him. He tries to shake out of it, spun around, still on his feet. Villari trying to get out of some things, manages to gain a couple more yards, but he's still going to get dropped for a sack.
On the stop, bringing down Dan Villari.
Very quickly, the Tornadoes into the backfield and harassing the 6'3" quarterback. Stepping up and stepping in very nicely to put pressure.
Falavio was all over him. He comes in at the safety with Uloa going down. Villari will heave it over the middle. It's complete to Pepe for a 1st down. Back into Lawrence territory.
Completion from Dan Villari and a Plainedge 1st down.
And when you start thinking run, That's where Valari has improved his game, standing tall in the pocket and finding a wide open target in Donovan Pepe, his 8th reception of the season. And what this Red Devil offense has become over the last couple weeks is an offense that can make big plays through the air.
Rob Shaver loves the complement of receivers that Valari has. Now they go with a loaded backfield. The give is to Quinlan, who's running right. Breaks out of 1 tackle, finds a couple more, and picks up 3 on first down.
You know, it's interesting. It's that type of play that gave Rob Shaver confidence if the Red Devils had to play this game Saturday afternoon in inclement weather, that there are formations and there is a comfort level for this team to go under center and run power when you bring in Orlando Cabrera in addition to Mark Cardone as a tight end and H-back respectively. And so some diversity from the Red Devils as Dan Valari goes back under center.
I mean, Rob Shaver, he's adapted, but he still loves to play old school football when he can. They pitch it right side. First carry of the game for Lombardi. And Lombardi is right at the marker, and he will have enough for a first down.
And what's interesting about how the Red Devils play offense, outside of the previous down where they brought in a heavy package, they're able to maneuver and move around their 5 offensive skill position players in a number of different spots. Lombardi can be both a running back and receiver. Yaruso and Elsesser and Pepe, not only can they be split out wide, but they can be part of double tight end sets as well, as they are right here with 7 across the line of scrimmage.
So they've gone with this I formation the last couple of moments, with Quinlan being the fullback and Lombardi the tailback. Lombardi on the pitch left side this time, cuts back inside. Lombardi another good chunk of yardage as he gains 8 on that play.
You know how we talk sometimes, offenses will say, I'm going to run the ball and I'm going to do so until you stop me. Well, they motioned a tight end from right to left to put an extra body on that left side of the line, almost telegraphing that was the direction of the run, and they were still able to pick up 7 on that play.
Plainedge sticking with what works. This time Valari running up the gut, enough for a first down. And Plainedge offensively, they're 2 for 2 so far on their possessions and driving again. This possession started back on their own 30-yard line. One wide receiver look right now. Give up the gut for Quinlan. Quinlan weaving between the tackles for a 6-yard pickup.
Dan Valari has dropped back to pass once. And a lot of times I think there's a notion that running can be boring, but the way they look to attack the running game and they look to attack the defense has been varied, using different formations, different personnel groupings. It's been really just an interesting drive to watch the Red Devils march down the field, keeping it on the ground, sans that one big play over the top to Pepe.
And they'll take a timeout with 49 seconds remaining in the first quarter and a 14-0 lead. And I think at heart, David, when you mention that running game, you know, I mentioned it a moment ago, Rob Shaver, he still is an old school style football coach. He can adapt, but we're not that far removed from Deon Quinlan's older brother, Davian Quinlan, playing quarterback and racking up all those rushing yards from the quarterback position. He's now at Hartwick, but he led them to a conference title a couple of years ago in 2015, so they have that. Let's take a look at the Nassau Conference standings. Of course, these two teams, as we talked about, clearly the cream of the crop heading into the postseason next week, but you've got Roosevelt. They've had a ton of experience and success. Wantagh had that LIC a couple of years ago. Bethpage knocked out this Plainedge team a year ago. So a lot of teams at 4 and 3 there could do some damage.
The top 5 teams currently were the top 5 teams preseason, though in a different order. The big surprise so far, Southside checking in at 6-1 on the year in 6th place. They were outside of the top 10 preseason. And what's so interesting, speaking to Joe Martellotti on the left, Plainedge ended up number 5. He said, though, he ranked them number 2 preseason.
Clearly he knew what he was talking about.
Great respect for the program that he has, all of the great battles that they've had over the past decade. And so Martellotti was onto something, and maybe that's just a nod to Coach Shaver and the historic prominence of Plainedge. So despite the question marks they had coming in which the Red Devils themselves acknowledged, Joe Martellotti thought very highly of this Plainedge team.
3rd and a couple here. Give to Quinlan. Quinlan finds his way into the end zone for the 2nd time tonight.
For his 2nd touchdown of the game. Putting 20 on the board here with
So Plainedge a perfect 3 for 3 on offensive possessions in this first quarter, and they are rocking at home. There's Braden Clark. 2 for 2 so far tonight on point afters. Snap is down for the 3rd one, and he stays perfect.
Out of a timeout, Deon Quinlan gets the call, first man through, and the Red Devils are just carving up the defense of Lawrence. Definitely a concern from the Golden Tornadoes side. The only thing that's been different is that their offense through nearly a quarter has been shut out. But Quinlan, who now has over 700 yards rushing on the season, along with 8 rushing touchdowns, really carrying the load, over 100 carries through the first 7 weeks, and is the super back for the Red Devils in more than just name.
And now you feel almost, David, that this next possession for Lawrence is monumental as far as this game is concerned. The way that Plainedge is moving the ball, the way their defense is played tonight, you need to put up a representative drive.
I think most teams would feel that way, and I'm not sure if Lawrence does. No T. Braden Clark just kicks it squarely off the ground.
And in this instance, out of bounds. Well, I think Rob Shaver talked about that yesterday, and the fact that very few teams will try and kick deep nowadays. We'll get a procedure penalty on Plainedge. You know, it's a bunch of squib kicks. And Lawrence looks like they'll take the ball on the 35 rather than having Plainedge kick over.
Nearly a 5-minute drive of 70 yards for Plainedge to register their 3rd touchdown on its last possession.
Final seconds of the first quarter, which has Plainedge on top 21-0. Here's Christian Fredericks. He'll air it out. He's intercepted. Who else? Luke Lombardi. Well, now they're going to say that the ball hit the turf. He trapped it, I guess. Some boos coming out from the Plainedge side.
A genuine celebration by Lombardi.
I mean, that looks like, I'd say that was an accurate call.
It's one of those situations where his hands were not under the ball, and so a lot of the pigskin touching the turf.
Doesn't give up the guts. And that'll be the final play of the first quarter. Yeah, I think if Lombardi had his hands underneath the ball, that's an interception, but they were on either side, so a little too much of the turf. So a dominant first quarter for the home team. Plainedge putting up 21 points, 2 touchdowns by number 33 in red. Deon, Quinlan and company are cruising. Welcome back to Plainedge High School. Matt Shortis, David Resnick, Amanda Puglisi with you as we start the second quarter between 7-0 Lawrence and 7-0 Plainedge. But Plainedge looking like the unbeaten team in that first quarter. First down completion from Fredericks to Walker. And they are in Plainedge territory. And you've said it a couple times already, David. If there's one team that can kind of shake off a 21-0 deficit, it is this Lawrence Golden Tornadoes team. As Fredericks spinning out of a tackle, but nowhere to go. Gobbled up by Tom Cantalbiano.
I think it'll be interesting to watch and something to take note of heading into the second quarter. Last year, the game plan for Plainedge was to stop the run, and they played one-on-one on the 4 receiving threats, and Christian Fredericks, as a first-year starter as a junior, was not quite established yet as a thrower, and threw for over 300 yards and about 5 touchdowns. Will Plainedge continue to put 7 in the box and spread out their secondary one-on-one?
Man in motion. And boy, Lawrence, rather Plainedge had that read absolutely perfectly. Keaton Goldsby nowhere to go, strung out for a loss.
Have to like the speed and the discipline. Quinlan, along with Parlato, a number of players setting the edge, and if those two didn't get it, Braden Clark was running free from his middle linebacker spot to make the play.
Third down and 13. Fredericks getting a block. Fredericks, he'll break it open. Fredericks gets a first down, big block, and he's back inside, down to the 25-yard line. And the Plainedge player who was on the wrong end of that block, a little slow to get up. But he's up and walking. This is the thing everybody worries about with Christian Fredericks. A play breaks down, and he can make something out of it. Should be over 1,000 yards rushing now.
1,000 passing, 1,000 rushing. Didn't quite get to those numbers a year ago. Had 1,300 passing and 962 rushing. So Fredericks, if it was possible, has become more explosive as a senior.
We'll shake and bake. A lot of sizzle there, got 1 yard.
There was a big block on the last play in which the Plainedge sideline thought was illegal, and a little bit too much to the back and not the shoulder. Fredericks, as mentioned, top 10 in Nassau County, according to stats submitted to Newsday in both passing and rushing this season.
Second down and 9. The give is to Duran. Duran still on his feet, rumbling on down. Stop shy of the 5 at about the 7-yard line. Longest run from scrimmage for Andres Duran today.
Duran is the thunder to the lightning of everybody else. He is a downhill gasher, not with the blazing speed, but the physicality.
Fredericks will keep it. Bottled up.
Christian Fredericks keeps it, stopped by Deon Quinlan.
Braden Clark there along with Quinlan. Yeah, Duran not the typical Lawrence tailback, where they normally have a lot of pop and explosiveness. Duran a bit more physical bruiser, between the tackles style runner. Second and goal for the Golden Tornadoes, knocking on the door for the first time this evening, trying to fight their way back into this game. Loaded backfield play action, zipped over the middle, complete touchdown for Jordan Alexander.
Alexander for a touchdown from Christian Fredericks, and Lawrence is on the board with 6.
Jordan Alexander is the player that Lawrence tries to get the ball to when they need to stabilize. Alexander called the best pure player by the coaching staff. Nice play fake and the pop pass for Alexander, who got bumped from behind and yet boxed out a defender to make the catch.
Again, the normal place kicker for Lawrence out tonight. No problem on this attempt as Erik Wong knocks it through to make it a 21-7 game.
Fredericks calm, tossing it over the middle. Alexander with his 6th receiving touchdown of the season, even though El Cesar draped all over his back. And you want to kind of think along with Lawrence and what their sideline is saying. You've just scored 65-yard drive. You get a stop and a score, it's a 1-possession game. And typically when Lawrence gets the ball back, they're scoring. And so it's easy to kind of talk so flagrantly or so easily about like what might happen when they get the ball back, because typically they do score. And so the message, I'm sure, from that sideline is to just stay the course. And any win that they can get on defense will go a long way, because that's really the big question mark for Lawrence today and moving forward in defense of their county title.
So finally the response that Lawrence was looking for, a little bit later than they would have liked. But as you said, David, now it is up to their defense. So far, Plainedge has scored on all 3. Onside kick attempt, it's not going to make the 10 yards, so that'll be a flag, and Plainedge will have it.
Goes out of bounds.
So I think that shows you the respect that Joe Martellotti has for the Plainedge offense and what they've done to his defense so far tonight. Trying for the onside kick, trying to catch Plainedge a little off guard, but they'll have it once again in prime field position.
Yeah, this is a coaching staff that will look to do whatever it can to keep the ball with its offense. And that is certainly highlighted even more so with a first half onside kick. Now the reverse of that is you now give Plainedge a short field for the 3rd time, and their offense is cooking a perfect 3 for 3 in terms of converting possessions into touchdowns to this point.
Well, it looks like our referee and Joe Martellotti are exchanging some words. And now we're ready to go. Valari in shotgun with 3 guys surrounding him. He follows his blockers. Quinlan the lead one. Flag down as Valari goes out of bounds.
Flag on the play after a pickup of 5.
First penalty marker that doesn't involve a kick.
That's right.
On this game. It's going to be a holding against the Red Devils, and that will come back. So if the spot of the foul was the 38, it'll be walked back to the 48-yard line. And a net loss of -5.
Brings it back 5 yards, first down and 15.
Joey Russo motioning to the right side. Douglas Alcesser, near side wide receiver, looking back to the sideline. A little confusion from the Plainedge side, taking a long time to get the signals in. There's Valari throwing on the run, has it complete to the right side.
Pass complete to Pepin.
To Donovan Pepe. So they've thrown the ball twice. Lucky number 13 has been on the receiving end both times tonight.
11, second down and 4 on the completion.
Pickup of 11 yards on that play.
Pepe on that side of the field with Yaruso. Nice combination there to have Pepe settle in to a soft spot of the defense. And getting that yardage right back to put yourself ahead of the sticks on second down.
There's Valori to his left looking to throw again. That's intercepted. Lawrence with a timely takeaway.
Pass intercepted by
Patricio Cave stepped in front of the Plainedge wide receiver, and that might be the defensive big play that Lawrence needs to get back into this one. Now a flag came down after the interception. So we'll see what the marker is for. So Jordan Alexander whistled for a block in the back.
After the interception.
Dan Valori really trying to thread it here, and underneath Patricio Cave stepping in. You can see how Valori's locked in on one of the best receivers in Nassau County, and Cave coming from underneath as part of the coverage scheme. Just got to the ball a step before the wide receiver. Just the 4th interception thrown by Valori this season.
Lawrence will start with an empty backfield, give right up the gut, and a pickup of 5 on first down for Andres Duran.
Run by Andres Duran, second down and 5.
Lawrence playing with some tempo as they get quickly back to the line after a gain of 5.
Same thing, give to Duran, left side of the line, picks up 2. It's Quinlan on the stop, so it will be second down and 3. Third and 3, pardon me, for Lawrence.
Thomas Caltabiano coming in for third down. Typically will enter as a substitute on the defensive line on passing downs.
Complete to Walker for a first down, out across the 30.
Great hands for Walker. Sometimes a bit of the forgotten man when you think of Goldsby and Alexander.
Lawrence going no huddle now. Fredericks flush to his left, has a man looking downfield, complete, catch and run for another first down. This time it was Keaton Goldsby for a pickup of 11.
Goldsby with his first reception. Fredericks, something that he's probably developed more this year, the ability to throw on the run, not looking to scramble necessarily immediately with his legs, but keeping his eyes down the field to make a play.
Empty backfield continues. Fredericks drops back, looks to his right, now he runs left. Scampers out of bounds just shy of midfield.
Conversely, a play like that, Fredericks sensing the pocket collapsing and his options covered, motored to his left quickly to become a dangerous runner.
Rob Shaver referred to it as playground or sandlot football. And Christian Fredericks does a ton of damage, or can do a ton of damage. Give up the gut for Duran. Duran lowers the shoulder into Plainedge territory. And all of a sudden, this Lawrence offense has found its rhythm.
Big possession here, I think, for the Plainedge defense. If Lawrence continues this momentum to make it a one-score game, a lot of the great work that the offense did in the first quarter was for naught.
Fredericks high steps to tackle another one, but Lombardi flying in there to bring him down and limit the damage to 3 yards.
Great tackle, stopping him after 3 yards, second down and 7.
Plainedge knows it needs to pick its spots when it's going to look to play more of his zone defense, passing-wise, showing a 5-man front on this second down.
Throw to left side for Falalio. Why don't we make it Goldsby?
35-yard line, 3rd down and 3, and a big 3rd down coming up.
I mean, again, for most teams with this field position, when you're just talking 15 yards difference, I mean, this is automatic 4-down territory for the Golden Tornadoes.
Especially when you consider that their primary kicker is kicking for the soccer team tonight. Snap is fumbled, picked up by Fredericks, manages to get close to the yard marker, and it looks like he's got enough for a 1st down.
True first Sandlot type of broken play magic by Christian Fredericks.
Not quite get there, out of bounds.
The low snap picks it up and just darts his way. Pepe providing a nice hit right at the sticks, keeping Fredericks a yard short. Very favorable spot, I think, for the Red Devils.
I would agree. So it's a full yard on 4th and 1. They try to draw Plainedge off. Fans stomping as they anticipate the defense. Fredericks hit as he throws. Short throw, complete to Falalio. Falalio fighting inch for inch.
The completion to number 3, Morel Falalio.
How about the job of Fredericks to hang in there right as he got hit, and Falalio going up and grabbing it over Lombardi.
I think this offense has guts. 4th and short, and they take advantage of a one-on-one matchup down the field. Falalio, a great leaper, great jumper, goes up over the top of Lombardi to high point it.
Falalio, the only wide receiver now. Handoff to Duran up the middle. Duran shaking out of 1 tackle, and the door closed on the 2-yard line.
After a short pickup, 2nd goal.
Morel Falalio, 6'5", 210 pounds, is the center on the Lawrence basketball team. There's not a whole lot of cornerbacks who are going to be able to hang tough with him. Lawrence trying to capitalize off of a Plainedge interception and make this a 1-score game. Fredericks fakes the give, moves left side, almost untouched into the end zone.
Oh, there was so much in that play. That was glorious eye candy. Oh, cannot wait to take another look at the most electrifying 2-yard touchdown run I've seen in quite some time.
All set up by Christian Fredericks, hanging tough on 4th and 1 to find Morel Falalio. Snap is down. Wong's kick is blocked.
Blocked by Reed DeGroff.
So DeGroff got a piece of that, and Wong's kick is incomplete.
Let's take this all in. First, that fake, whether that was the thought from the beginning and then the juke. Oh, that was cool. I mean, we've seen a handoff fake, but when do you see a pitch fake? And then the move at the 2 to step away from Yaruso. Sandlot football, right?
I don't think I've ever seen a defense sort of freeze like that.
10th rushing touchdown of the season. You know you're dynamic when you can make a short touchdown run, make the color guy gush a little bit, but maybe I just need to get out more.
Need to see some more football. No, Christian Fredericks, an impressive player. As I mentioned, All-County last year, a 3-year starter, 2nd season as the starting quarterback. And all of a sudden, David, 1 turnover, and Lawrence finds themselves within striking distance after starting this game trailing 21-0. Starting this quarter trailing 21-0.
That's An 85-yard drive that took 4 minutes and 40 seconds. That huge play on 4th down, setting up the magic of Christian Fredericks inside the 5.
Towed away. And that one managed to, nope, it didn't. I thought it managed to stay in bounds, but it did go out of bounds a hair. So Plainedge will have it at the 35-yard line to start this one off. 3 minutes and 27 seconds before the first half comes to a close. Remember, Plainedge kicked off to start the game, but it was a Lawrence fumble that gave Plainedge the first offensive possession of the game. So they will get the ball back to start the second half.
Opportunity potentially to have 2 straight possessions, leading by a score. 2 timeouts on the board to play with if needed.
Give is to Quinlan. Quinlan got maybe a yard, not a whole lot doing there.
Last possession, it was Patricio Cave coming up with the interception for Lawrence. A player who's trying to earn some more time as a member of the secondary for the Golden Tornadoes. Cave is out there, bottom of your screen, matched up against Luke Lombardi.
Second down and 9. They'll wing it out to the left side for Quinlan. Quinlan saw a hole, but it closed down quickly. His running back counterpart Duran wrapped him up.
So here's the pressure that Lawrence puts on you with their offense when you're on offense. Couple of plays keeping the clock moving. Approaching 2 minutes to go. You don't convert here. You now punt it back to an offense that finally has its mojo and has been running. And all of a sudden, a 21-point lead could be gone in a blink.
Alcesser motions to the right. Carry for Villari. Villari trying to mow down a defender, but he's going to be short by a couple of yards. And now decision time for Rob Shaver.
I know what the book says, but what does the emotion say? Clark is actually being looked at on the sideline currently. Dan Villari can punt out of offensive formations.
So one, they will use as much time as they possibly can before they snap this ball. So Villari in shotgun, and now they will take a timeout. So 1:25 to go in this first half. 4th down coming up, and Plainedge wants to talk this over.
There's a look at Braden Clark, who handles all the kicking duty for Plainedge, and so that will at least factor into the conversation and the decision-making process for the Red Devils as they come out of a timeout facing a 4th and 2 at its own 43.
I think he got nicked up just a moment ago. He's not been sitting there for too long. So you can bet almost that Villari will try a hard count here coming out of the timeout. So your offensive linemen, you have to make sure they are disciplined. 4th down, Villari going to throw, has a receiver wide open in Quinlan. Quinlan into Lawrence territory, thrown out of bounds at the 40-yard line. So on a 4th and 2, a little hook route, Deon Quinlan was wide open.
Great scheme, great play call, terrific execution. A wide open pitch and catch for Villari to find Quinlan, who entered tonight as the 2nd leading pass catcher for Plainedge this season. and a very reliable and dangerous target for the Red Devils.
Official stop the clock. Wanted 5 more seconds put onto the clock. And 1 minute 23 seconds. And you look at the receptions coming into tonight for Deon Quinlan. Keeper for Valari. Valari, we saw this earlier in the game. So tough to bring down.
Valari keeps it and refuses to go down inside the 25-yard line.
Again, David, when we see the replay, let's count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different Lawrence players making physical contact with Dan Valari before he goes down. Valari will take it again, this time to the left side. Not quite the same reaction from the Lawrence defense.
Plainedge needs to be careful. They do have that 1 timeout. They'll use it here with 60 seconds to go. That 4th down conversion was everything, because you're on the verge of giving the ball back to Lawrence with great field position and plenty of time to score. Since they converted, Plainedge could control the final couple minutes of the second quarter and almost assure itself that it'll have a lead into halftime.
Take a look at the last few times that these teams have met. Last year's meeting was Lawrence's only loss in Nassau County during the regular season. Lawrence, of course, en route to a couple of county titles. Plainedge in 2015, that was en route to a county championship. And the 2014 meeting in the playoffs, the second one, that is.
Yeah, it's a series that, as Plainedge went to the finals 5 straight years, the first 4 years they played Lawrence. 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. Losing to the Golden Tornadoes in that county championship game before taking down Glen Cove in 2015 for Ron Shaver's 2nd title as head coach. But both coaches acknowledge that it always feels heading into the year that you're going to see the opponent twice in a given year.
Following the timeout, Valari will look to the left side, complete. And then Joe Yarusso will head out of bounds after making his first reception of the night.
Something that Joe Martellotti commented on is he thought Plainedge is one of the most best prepared teams that he faces. And a couple of throws here for Valari on this drive to wide open receivers. You've got to credit scheme.
This time Valari will take it to the ground, bottled up. In on the tackle, the linebacker Nick Pasquarello. Remember, Plainedge now out of timeouts, so they cannot stop the clock with 40 seconds to go.
And a field goal kicker who is injured on the side.
2nd down and short. Valari hit as he throws, incomplete.
Looking for Joe Yarusso. Turnover on downs. Lawrence will take over with 3
So, beg your pardon, that was 4th down. I'm looking at the marker on the far side of the field and misread it. So Lawrence's defense comes up with a big stand on 4th down.
Yeah, Quinlan getting stuff on 3rd, dropping back to pass, taking a hit by Johnson at the end. Joe Yarusso wanting a call. 29 seconds left, 3 timeouts. What I'm about to say for most teams will sound ridiculous. This is enough time for Lawrence, because they have playmakers that can take it to the house at any yard line on the field.
Get into their 30-second offense. Here's Fredericks dropping back, screen pass over the middle for Duran. Duran cutting back to the right side, out to the 25-yard line, has a 1st down. And that will stop the clock, at least for the moment, until they can reset the sticks. But Lawrence will take a timeout there anyway. That whittles the clock down to 19 seconds on the scoreboard here.
And ironically, that's probably the one player that doesn't have the capability to bring it all the way from the 20-yard line of the opposition.
Take a look at the Lawrence schedule so far for this season. Seven and 0 heading into week 8. And the battle for the top seed tonight. But David, clearly what you said, Joe Martellotti was thinking right along those lines. They get one good chunk play on first down, get a first down, and they call a timeout, still with 2 timeouts remaining. Here's Frederick stepping into the pocket, throws another completion. That's to Walker. Walker scoots out of bounds. That'll stop the clock with 12 seconds to go.
By number 5, Luke Lombardi. First down for Lawrence.
Quan Walker, a quarterback on the JV last year. Super strong, only a sophomore. And already a favored target of Christian Fredericks. First down from the 42. Fredericks dropping back again, steps out of a tackle. Fredericks moving to his right, looking for a blocker. 5 seconds to go, out of bounds. With 2 seconds left on the clock, into Plainedge territory. So time enough for one play. And Lawrence will take a timeout to talk this over.
2 seconds left, timeout Lawrence.
Fredericks nearly running out of time as he was scrambling. The time was much more important in that scenario than the yards. I think he just about has the arm for a 45-yard pass, although when you're taking the snap closer to the 50, that's a big ask. So is this going to be more of a Hail Mary, throw everybody down, or will they try to come up with more of a short pattern, hook and ladder, move the ball around that way? Or just let Fredericks improvise and see what he comes up with.
Well, 2 seconds left on the clock. This will likely be the last play of the half. Morel Falawio, the 6'5" target who had the big reception earlier in the game. He is on the near side.
And probably your best candidate for a jump ball in the end zone.
Plainedge dropping everybody back, except for that. Now Fredericks will bomb it down the field, looking for Falawio, intercepted by Doug Elsesser.
At the 1, that ends the half. With your Red
You know, for
Devils,
Lawrence, no
21,
risk, no reward.
those 13.
Plainedge had it played well, doubled Falawio, and Elsesser comes up with a second defensive Plainedge turnover. So a little scare for Plainedge, but they go into the halftime break still holding on to a lead. It's a 7-point lead for the home team tonight, 21-13 at halftime. Welcome back to Plainedge High School. Currently the home team leading Lawrence 21-13. But it was the Red Devils who started this game up 21-0. Lawrence came back a little bit before halftime. Matt Shortis and David Resnick with you, and let's go down to Amanda Puglisi here at halftime.
Well, Shakir Herbert is a senior at Kennedy in Paterson, New Jersey, and Shakir has been using football as a way to help him overcome some of the hardships that he's faced in his life so far, and News 12's Jason Kahn has more on the story.
Football has been the constant light that shines on Shakir Herbert growing up in Paterson.
I just want to do it forever. Like, it's my goal in life. Like, I mean, like, I don't know what I'd do without it.
He doesn't exactly have a position, although you can mostly find him at quarterback or receiver, and somewhere on defense too. But long before this senior year, walking the halls at John F. Kennedy, he says his behavior was wild, and he was a problem in school.
I can't play football if I'm getting in trouble.
Herbert's focus on football has kept him off the Paterson streets. And this woman helped with that. Sylvia Herbert was Shakir's foster mom. She passed away from a heart attack last December at 64 years old.
To be very proud, to be honest. to see me to grow up from what I came from.
Not every day is a rosy day for him.
Shakir doesn't know his biological parents. He now lives with his 4 siblings. After practice, bus rides home can take at least an hour. But through it all, the 17-year-old is forging forward.
I'm just keep pushing, like these different obstacles you go through every day. I'm just keep going.
Football is the driving force behind that push, playing every game for Sylvia. But as rays of the sun bounce off him on this October day, he knows she's always watching. Jason Kahn, News 12, New Jersey.
And for more on football around the Tri-State, for all News 12 coverage, you can see what's coming up this weekend. First and 12 on Facebook Live News 12, the Bronx on Thursday nights. And of course, you got Friday Night Football, News 12 New Jersey every Friday night at 10:45. And then, of course, the Rush, News 12 Sports Rush on Long Island on Facebook Live every Sunday night, starting at 9 o'clock for wall-to-wall football Tri-State coverage. Again, here at halftime on Long Island, we've got a pretty good one for you. 7-0 Lawrence, 7-0 Plainedge, and it's a 21-13 Red Devils advantage. Halftime, plenty more to come from Nassau County. Stay with us on News 12 Varsity. Well, the marching band is rocking here at halftime with Plainedge on top of Lawrence, 21-13. Matt Shortis and David Resnick with you from Plainedge High School. And David, at least the way this game started, it seemed like it was going to be all Plainedge for a little while.
Red Devils really got off to a terrific start. This is after recovering a fumble on the opening kick. Red Devils with a short field. And Deon Quinlan rumbling in for a touchdown, which was followed up on the next possession by this 31-yard touchdown run by quarterback Dan Villari, in which he broke numerous tackles on his way to the end zone. Quinlan follows it up with a short touchdown run and a 21-0 start through the first quarter. That's when Lawrence would find some momentum offensively. Christian Fredericks finding Jordan Alexander on the short slants, and then Patricio Cave with the interception to set up the most electrifying 2-yard touchdown run I've ever seen. Christian Fredericks with the ball fake, and then the juke for the score. Reed Degroff, though, would get his hand on the PAT, so it was not a full 14 points that Lawrence was able to put on the board. 21 straight for Plainedge to begin. Lawrence scores all 13 points registered in the second quarter, and what could have lent itself to be a blowout 11 minutes in is exactly what we expected, a one-score, closely contested contest. There hasn't been the type of alternating back and forth. So far, it's been a game of runs in the first half.
And David, we'll see how big that PAT looms. Remember, Danny Reyes, the kicker, starting kicker for Lawrence, is not in the game tonight because the Lawrence boys soccer team is in a playoff game tonight, so that's where he's playing. So Wong was kicking. Again, these two teams come in undefeated on the night. Take a look at who else is undefeated around Long Island. A lot of the names are old mainstays. When you have Freeport, Garden City, William Floyd, West Hampton coming off their LIC a year ago, losing Dylan Laube. Well, they've continued right on from where they were. How about Oyster Bay in Conference 4 making some noise at 5-0?
Yeah, I think you're looking at top seeds, favorites heading into the playoffs. Although a final week of the regular season can shape perceptions a little bit. But for Nassau Conference 3, how lucky the fans are to have two undefeateds collide in the final week of the regular season to set up a matchup for the #1 seed in Nassau Conference 3.
Third quarter coming up in just a couple of moments. Plainedge will have the ball when we resume as they're up by a touchdown. Well, the teams are back out on the field as we are just about ready to begin the third quarter from Plainedge High School. Matt Shortis and David Resnick with you, as well as Amanda Puglisi, who's roaming the sidelines somewhere. But David, you feel like the way that second quarter transpired, Lawrence has got to feel a lot better than they did at the end of the first quarter.
Certainly, and I think the overall theme is that despite this 8-point difference, things are back even. Both offenses have proven that they can score. Both teams have turned the ball over, and they have shown that they have explosive playmakers. So I think in a lot of ways, despite the score differential, we are back to square one.
Well, before we begin the third quarter, let's shoot down to Amanda, who's on the sidelines.
Well, Matt, I just spoke to Coach Martellotti of Lawrence, and he said to me the difference between the first quarter and the second quarter was defensively they stuck to their assignments and they tackled. Now, on the offensive side, he said they start to play better when Christian throws the ball. They're a very balanced offense, but when he throws the ball, the defense then loosens up a little bit, and that allows the run game to play, and that's why they were so successful in the second quarter.
I think that's an accurate assessment. You know,
well, he's the coach. I hope so.
Yeah, once Fredericks gets going.
Who are us to say?
Observers from on high.
You know, Coach Martellotti's had a couple of good one-liners during our conversation as we take a look at Braden Clark, who appears to be injured or maybe not available to play both defense and special teams today. You know, this game we mentioned was originally scheduled for Saturday afternoon, and the impending weather bumped this game up to Friday night. And Joe Martellotti, you know, you expect linemen, football coaches, the tough guy persona, and not to say he's not tough. I don't want anyone to misconstrue my words, but, you know, he was like, I could either coach against Plainedge and be dry, or I could coach against Plainedge and be wet. And I'd rather choose this. And I think for everybody, a perfect night, a picturesque type of Friday night football game is great for the players and the coaches and the fans and the media alike to really give this type of showcase game the right atmosphere to play for the #1 seed in Nassau Conference 3.
Erik Wong will kick it away, a little sweep kick, falling right on top of, and Lawrence will have it at the 46. Yeah, Section 8 football coordinator Pat Pizzarelli emphatically, I'd say, tried to get every football game this weekend either moved to Friday or moved to Sunday to avoid the nor'easter that's on its way.
You know, it's interesting for Lawrence, between a defense that was wounded and a shorthanded special teams, and really trying to do everything to emphasize the offense. We've seen a lot of interesting decisions play out today so far.
Handoff right up the gut to Lombardi. Lombardi breaks through across the 35, finally brought down at the Lawrence 30. A 24-yard pickup for Lombardi. And a short field turns into an even shorter field for Plainedge.
Lombardi so dangerous as both a ball carrier out of the backfield and the fourth wide receiver in a spread look. He'll dot the I behind Quinlan.
Give again right up the gut.
And that's Quinlan up the middle.
For these,
Pickup of 6 yards, second down and 4.
We saw Clark on the bench to begin the third quarter. Let's go down to Amanda. She's got more on his status.
And Matt, for now, that's where he's going to stay. In the second quarter, we saw him. He said that he extended his leg on the kick. He landed and felt like his knee locked. When I spoke to the training staff, they said his return is questionable, but I can tell you this. When he was walking off at halftime, he actually needed the help of one of his teammates to get back to the locker room.
Lombardi will take it on second and short. It has the first down. And the other thing to keep in mind as far as health for either of these teams, because we've seen a couple guys go off, as much as you want the undefeated regular season, you both know you're in the playoffs. So you'd rather make sure your guys are healthy, not risk anything, and have them going forward however long forward may be. And off left side, this is Lombardi again. Fourth rushing touchdown today for Plainedge. First to the game for Lombardi. And the Red Devils strike first in this second half.
27-13. The fourth rushing touchdown of the day.
Lombardi started this drive with a lengthy gain, and he caps it off with a 19-yard touchdown run. Quick strike for the Red Devils on the ground. They got through the first half without really needing to feature Lombardi, who is now going to replace Clark in the extra point game.
They look pretty good. Gonna get thrown into the action, drills it right through. So Luke Lombardi, one-man wrecking crew. First.
Really untouched, left side of the line. Big hole created. Nick Sweeting, the left guard, creating a big hole. Offensive line was a huge question mark 8 weeks ago, but now a group of all seniors is much more of an exclamation point for the Red Devils.
They had the stalwarts in Kokoris at the left tackle, Caltabiano at the center, but the other spots were kind of up for grabs.
I love Clark. We showed him sitting on the sideline, and he is engaged and clapping and shouting out encouragement. The night for him, unfortunately, appears that it has come to a close, but don't tell that this junior running back and linebacker and special teams whiz is not a part of this game, as Lombardi comes over for a high five, and Valari comes over to Clark as well to give him a word of encouragement.
A kick right into the numbers
52,
of the hands crew in Pasquarello. I don't think he was expecting that.
I don't think he's the hands crew. But we've seen a pair of kicks not get past that first line, and a couple of alert linemen, or in this case, Pasquarello, a linebacker, being alert, covering it up quickly, and Plainedge took advantage of a short field, making easy work of 58 yards. And now it's just a 54-yard field for Lawrence to play with.
An offense that started to get into a rhythm in that second quarter. Fredericks on a delayed run, shakes off one tackle, bottled up, and Plainedge tries to string him out. They do for a loss of one.
Stop him. Loss of 2.
It was Joe Yaruso who came in and finally brought him down.
Back to a two-score lead for Plainedge.
Keep going all in on the tackle. Second down and 12.
A loss of 2 officially, second and 12. Andres Durant goes to work.
After a pickup of 4 by number 8. Andres Duran.
We talked about how Clark is out, so Joseph Cavalieri, the junior linebacker, stepping in the place of Clark, who plays middle linebacker. Would expect Reed Degroff to slide over to the middle and help with the calls defensively.
Third and about 7 now. Fredericks swings it over the middle, has a receiver and plenty of room to run for the touchdown. Keaton Goldsby, catch and run. And Lawrence answers back about a minute later.
Anywhere on the field, nearly any player, and the Golden Tornadoes can strike. Post route to the house, and Goldsby with the breakaway speed makes easy work of a short field and a drive that did not get off to a positive start.
Lawrence is going to go for 2. Alexander in motion. Here's Fredericks. He's going to bomb it to the right corner, looking for Falavio, but overthrows him. Lombardi in coverage.
Lombardi got beat on Falavio earlier this game on a pass down the field. It was thrown away from the motion of Alexander, and just good positioning, getting inside Goldsby, catching it in stride, And it's a short throw, but the accuracy for Fredericks in this situation is huge. Throws it over the top of a leaping linebacker into the numbers of Goldsby. Playmakers galore for the Golden Tornadoes. Leaves a number of defenders in his wake on the way to the end zone.
So seeing what we've seen in this third quarter, what would you say, what would you set the over-under at for the second half for total points scored?
Am I allowed to make a third quarter prop bet?
Sure, why not? We can do what we want here.
This is with funny money, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Because the way those two offenses are clicking, I think you'd probably take the over. It's the deepest kick we've had in quite a while. Taken at the 15-yard line by Lombardi. Lombardi out across the 40, cuts back inside to the 50. Lombardi's in Lawrence territory and stumbles on his own 2 feet. The turf monster came up and ate him. And he's down at the 30. You could see his eyes getting big from up here. Now he's slow to get up. Check out the return and some of the blocking.
Very rarely in this game have we seen a true opportunity for a return. Lombardi offensively scored the last touchdown for Plainedge to begin the third. Tripping down to the turf and now earning the attention of the athletic trainer.
Like his right toe got caught underneath him as he was rumbling on forward. And he'd be a big guy to miss any significant time. We saw early on this game the ability on defense that he has and his offensive abilities as well. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Plainedge back on offense in striking distance again.
Hey, Mom, do you know where Dad is? I need to ask him a quick question.
Optimum House rule number 9. Always be reachable with Optimum.
Okay, Mom. I'll try him at home first.
With Optimum Voice Find Me feature turned on, you can get a call on any phone every time.
Hey, honey, what's up?
Optimum. Let's connect more.
Sweet play, right?
Back at Plainedge High School. Plainedge will start their second possession of the third quarter. Lombardi was able to get up on his own power. And here's Quinlan taking a couple of guys with him
Quinlan
for a 4-yard
pushing
pickup.
forward with that offensive line. 7-yard gain.
Quinlan taking that carry.
Kokoris, Mahaley, all pushing forward. 2nd down and 3.
Luke Lombardi will sit out another play as he continues to stretch.
That's a keeper.
And that's Dan Villari on the quarterback
Villari.
keeper.
And Mark Cardone,
Picking
5'7"
up
junior,
a
comes in
Plainedge. First down.
as an extra running back with Lombardi out. You know, we talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast. Plainedge really doesn't go to their bench for their offensive personnel. Rob Shaver thought guys would take too long to sub in and sub out last year, so they started just playing the guys that were on the field.
Rob Shaver was tired of waiting for subs to get on and off.
Flag down as Quinlan takes the handoff.
Flag on the play as Deon Quinlan
I think
backs
it makes
forward for a couple yards.
for a more smooth game, of course, but also an offense that's much tougher to defend.
Offsides on the Red
So we have
Devils.
offsides against Plainedge.
Because when you think about it, and listening to coaches up in the booth for many years, a lot of times one of those coaches is just looking at personnel and calling out numbers and associating certain plays and certain formations with certain players. But if you keep the same 5 skill guys out on the field in the huddle, you can't prepare or anticipate the type of play prior to the snap, or at least breaking the huddle.
Another flag down. So Cesar had gone in motion. That's going to be procedure against Plainedge, and they're marching the wrong way.
It's a very disciplined offense in the first half. Surprising to see a couple of flags against the Red Devil offense in this capacity. A couple of them really having to do with lining up properly and the timing of a snap.
So I formation, first down and 20. Hand off Quinlan. Quinlan's really got nowhere to go.
Falawio with terrific pursuit, just running down the play the entire way. And as the run went opposite from his pressure off the edge, he just kept the motor running. And as Quinlan was bottled up to the middle, there was Falawio to finish him off, along with the play of Morgan setting the perimeter.
Second and long for Plainedge. Keeper for Valario. Valari again. How many guys does it take to bring him down? Down at the 15-yard line. Big pickup. And it'll be third down and about 2 coming up.
A convincing play fake, really froze the defense. And to get him bootlegging the other way after the play fake into open space. If that's his call, that was a great decision.
Luke Lombardi returns. Handoff goes to the short back in Quinlan, and Quinlan
again gets that push from the offensive line.
looked like he got close. My initial read from where the side official came in was that it's a hair short.
Lombardi was the deep back in that set. And going back to personnel groupings as a first down is signaled, sometimes you bring in a fullback, you know who's going to get the ball. Well, Quinlan here lines up as the fullback. He, of course, can get the ball, or he's a very capable blocker. So there's an unpredictability about the Red Devils as they line up in this same formation. Maybe this is a run for Lombardi because Quinlan is capable of blocking.
Here it is for Lombardi. Lombardi off the left tackle, inside the 10, down close to the 5. A pickup of 6 on that play.
This offense has a wing T type feel to it, where in a wing T, you have to be able to run, catch, and block, and do it out of different formations on different hashes, and the star player needs to be as willing to do the dirty work as the last guy on the roster. And I think when you ask Quinlan to block as much as he rushes the ball, or some of your star receivers to play tight end, it makes for a cohesive unit.
Run up the middle again, and the ball came out. Lawrence thought that they had it. Will it be a Plainedge touchdown, a Lawrence turnover recovery? The officials are deliberating at the moment. And it's Lawrence ball.
The ball comes out on the run by Valari, and Lawrence has recovered.
So Lawrence picks up a fumble on the 1-yard line. You talk about bend, don't break defense. And we'll take another look at this. As Valari, ball did in fact come out.
And was recovered in the end zone. The official really immediately signaling for that touchback in the middle of the fray there, and some confusion.
I don't know what took so long to give the clear signal that it was Lawrence ball, but either way, Their second quarter was spurred by a big defensive turnover. They try and go back to the air. Completion for Alexander. Alexander bounces off a defender out past the 45-yard line. And a 26-yard pickup for Jordan Alexander.
They scored on the last possession with a quick slant post route to Goldsby. Here opening up the drive from their own 20. The Golden Tornadoes go to their best all-around player. Alexander, a broken tackle away from an even bigger gain.
And what did we hear Joe Martellotti say to Amanda at halftime? When we can get Christian Fredericks throwing the ball, our offense has a whole nother level to it. Fredericks tied up after a pickup of 8 on the ground.
Second down and 2.
Nine-point lead for Plainedge here late in the third quarter.
2 turnovers committed by both teams.
Give up the gut to Duran.
Up the middle does not gain
I'd add a
yards.
caveat to one of the Lawrence turnovers,
if you must.
It came at the end of the first half. They had 2 seconds left, so it was a hope and a prayer that they figured would either end in a touchdown or an interception. And it went Plainedge's way. 3rd and 2 now in Plainedge territory. Aired out to the left side. That is complete, and that's a first down conversion to Keaton Goldsby. Again, this offense going no huddle.
To the point where Falawio nearly didn't make it back to the line.
There's a keeper for Fredericks, bouncing it out to the left side, and he'll scoot out of bounds at the 34-yard line.
This defense is being pressured in a major way because Fredericks has become that dual threat from the second quarter on that he was billed out to be.
Now remember, Brandon Clark, the middle linebacker, he's out with an injury.
Big stop in the
And
backfield.
Fredericks bottled up.
Number 23.
And it was his replacement, Cavalieri, that came up to make the play.
Their 3rd down and 6.
Shows what I know.
You know, good timing.
3rd down and 6 for Lawrence. Inside 3 minutes to go in this third quarter. Again, they've trailed pretty much from the get-go in this game. Fredericks' pass tipped up into the air, incomplete. They're looking for Goldsby.
And it's Cavalieri. He got his hand on that pass. Lawrence really liking the short passing and slant game. And I think it was Cavalieri on that touchdown pass to Goldsby that nearly got his hand on it after a leap. That time, no doubt about it, helping to redirect that pass to set up 4th down.
Talking about making the most of an opportunity.
Plainedge showing blitz, A-gap pressure up the middle.
3 receivers near side for the Lawrence offense. Fredericks with an empty backfield. Fredericks stumbled wide open down the field. He's got a man and a touchdown. Aquan Walker slipped underneath the coverage. Complete missed assignment. That's the only way I can describe that.
Well, it's when Fredericks looks like he's becoming a runner, it's very easy to keep your eyes inside and to want to help out against a dangerous, scrambling quarterback. We'll take another look at it in a moment, but that's potentially one of those type of plays when you're in coverage that only happens because Fredericks is the quarterback.
Lawrence will go for 2 again. Trying to draw Plainedge off. There's Fredericks looking to the left side. Had the receiver, but underthrew it. Keaton Goldsby was there. So Lawrence now 0 for 2 on 2-point conversions.
2:40 left in the third quarter.
Nearly slipping and still getting the pass off as Walker is behind the defense. Just right there, looks like he's ready to run, but he spots a receiver wide open down the field. Another big play for this Tornado offense, and another one that comes on 4th down. A team that doesn't want to punt, doesn't want to think about punting, doesn't want to have a punter. And this is part of the reason why. It was a short 4th down conversion that goes for a big play and another score for the Golden Tornadoes.
Yeah, Walker only a sophomore. And I think we saw it on the first replay. He kind of came out of the backfield, or at least across the line, which might have been why he kind of got lost in the mix. And Joe Martellotti says defensively, he's just an incredibly difficult guy to account for because he'll come out of the backfield, because he can go on a go route, he can go over the middle. They try to kind of mask him and cover him at times. Somewhat shallow kick picked up at the 20-yard line.
And it's Luke Lombardi again.
The anticipation building as Lombardi approached midfield. The home fans thought he was going to get a mulligan from earlier in the quarter when he almost brought one back.
Does set up good field position. You know, you talked earlier about where to set that over-under. Well, you'd at least have to start at 72.5, right? Or 73.
Once again, don't forget this Monday.
A couple of really explosive offenses, and with the way that they've picked up steam in the third quarter, I think they're really going to challenge that mark. I mean, these teams at least have a touchdown each left in them, no? I mean, you would figure with more than a quarter to play.
Yeah, we've got 53 on the board right now. So to get to that 72, you're saying 3 more touchdowns in the game. Pass caught. Plenty of room to run for Yaruso. Yaruso sheds off a would-be tackler. Set down at the 20.
We almost had a situation where this third quarter prop bet only needed 2 more touchdowns after this quick wide receiver screen. Joe Yaruso limited earlier this year because he was recovering from a broken collarbone. All-county type wide receiver if he had the snaps. But the addition to the offense of Yaruso really completes the wide receiver core for the Red Devils.
There's Villari taking it to the right side. Villari trying to get to the edge. He does, cutting back inside, first down.
Villari follows Quinlan, heading out right for a...
You know, that was very reminiscent of the first run of the game where the sideline was just a step away, and Villari had no interest in not fighting for extra yards.
For the Red Devils.
Teammate at some point's got to come over and help him readjust his jersey over that left shoulder pad. Or not. It's a good look on him. Making a fashion statement.
He's a tough guy. He'll be all right. Handoff right at the middle for Quinlan, who's in for a touchdown. Deon, Quinlan's third rushing touchdown tonight. And a quick response from Plainedge to the Golden Tornadoes.
It's a 3-play drive.
3 plays to go more than 50 yards after the big return by Luke Lombardi.
Get that counter going. These teams, when they are at their best, and I think both would say that it's been a few years since they were both playing at the highest level. Although last year's game did go down to the wire in a shootout. When these teams play, when these teams are at their best, there are a lot of points scored, and Quinlan between the tackles ball security at this part of the field, priority number one after the Red Devils marched down inside the red zone and turned it over at the 1. Quinlan with 3 more touchdowns tonight after entering with just a modest 6 on the season. And a big reason for those abbreviated numbers is whether or not some of their stars are playing 4 quarters and getting the touches and the opportunities as the Red Devils marched out to a perfect 7-0 start. You know, last year's results came down to the final seconds, the Red Devils scoring with about 5 seconds to go to pull out the victory, and this game certainly has the type of feel that either a last possession wins or it's going to take more than just 35 to win.
So Plainedge extends the lead back to 10. Picked up at the ball came out. Plainedge has got it.
Red Devils have it, and they do. Red Devils have the ball. Big hit by number 20.
Jordan Alexander was trying to spin, and it popped loose after that. Mark Cardone picked it up.
Mark Cardone.
Alexander.
On the recovery.
And it looked at least on that replay like Reed DeGroff was the one who was kind of wrapping him up and had his hands on the ball to rip it out.
Fareed was there as well. And so Plainedge scored in 3 plays, starting at about the opposition 45. And so now starting at the 39 with an offense that just poured it in.
And Mark Cardone will stay on offensively as the deep back. Here's Valari following the block of Cardone and Quinlan.
Dan Valari runs left.
Picking up about 5.
Down to about the 35-yard line and a pickup
Well,
of 4.
Plainedge got the scoring started tonight. Kicked off to begin the game. Fumble by Lawrence, picked up by Plainedge. And the Red Devils scored about a minute in. They have led pretty much wire to wire as we approach the final minute of the 3rd quarter. Valari will hand off to Quinlan. Quinlan with some room to run down at the 20.
Right inside the 20. And another Plainedge first down.
Quinlan between the tackles, and there is a huge hole on the left side. Nick Sweeting, left guard. Thomas Caltabiano, the center. Dylan Kokoris, the left tackle, creating a seam for the dangerous Deon Quinlan.
It's time to give his to Quinlan. He bounces it out to the left side, down to the 15-yard line.
I think that's an underrated aspect of Quinlan, and it has to do with his feet, where he's got the build and the frame and the expectation that he's going to be a between tackler runner. But as he sees things break down up the middle, he has the elusiveness and the quick feet to bounce it to the outside and create a positive play.
So 3rd quarter comes to an end, but Plainedge is back in business. They are driving again. 1 touchdown followed by a turnover, and they are looking for more. A 10-point lead heading to the 4th. We are back from Plainedge High School. The Red Devils started out the 2018 season preseason ranked number 5 in Nassau Conference 3. They're trying to cap off an unbeaten regular season, driving here with a 10-point lead. Handoff goes to Deon Quinlan. 3 rushing touchdowns today
and another
for the junior tailback.
zone, starting the fourth quarter.
And I think, David, when you look at this Plainedge team, here's the sort of scary thing for Conference 3. Dan Villari, starting quarterback, junior. Deon Quinlan, starting tailback, junior. Donovan Pepin, Luke Lombardi, Doug Alcesser, starting wide receivers, juniors. Here's Quinlan again, make it 4 on the day. Deon Quinlan had 6 touchdowns on the season. Coming into today, he's got 4 tonight against the Golden Tornadoes of Lawrence.
2 touchdowns, approximately a minute apart. Plainedge taking advantage of a short field after causing the turnover. Lombardi has stepped in to take care of the PATs in place of Braden Clark, and he is 3 for 3 following the 4th touchdown run for Deon Quinlan. 1 cut, explodes, touchdown, Red Devils. Ball security through the hole. Red Devils turned it over inside the 5 in the 3rd quarter. The sideline starting to feel it. But when we talked at the very start of the game, through the first 11 minutes, where Plainedge took a 21-point lead, here they are up by 17, 3-possession game against a team that can put 3 touchdowns on the board in about 3 minutes. So while most teams would feel comfortable about their position, this is not the time for Plainedge to settle against an offense coached by Joe Martellotti, and an offense that's averaging better than 40 points per game and has already shown tonight against this Red Devil defense that it has big playability.
David, I think we're going to hit the over. If we set it around 70 points, we are 3 points away with still a full quarter to go.
In some ways, we're just getting started.
It'll be good starting field position for Lawrence. They'll have it at their own 35 on the return from Keaton Goldsby. And I think the thing now for Lawrence is, can you make sure you hold on to the football? 3 turnovers tonight, though, 2 of them on returns. And that last one we talked about was the last play before the first half came to a close, sort of a prayer towards the end zone. David Manera lines up over the ball, starting center for Lawrence. There's Christian Fredericks looking upfield. Good block from Duran, and Fredericks kind of scrambling, just throws out of it.
Parlato and St. Farid.
And that
incomplete pass, 2nd down and 10.
Really like what Plainedge did there pre-snap, moving around the free safety, Donovan Pepin. First making it seem like he was going to be on coverage, then just sitting down on the edge as part of the run defense. They'll move him and Deon Quinlan around depending upon the formation.
There's Fredericks to Duran. Duran slips through the line, now running to his left, some good room to run. First down into Plainedge territory. Thrown out of bounds at the 46-yard line.
First down for Lawrence.
So after the last play gets blown up, they come back with a nice chunk of yardage and earn him first down.
And this is the changeup that Duran provides. A different look for Lawrence. We haven't seen Alexander and Walker and Simmons a part of the rushing attack as I would have expected, and so Duran has been the primary ball carrier.
Fredericks looking to throw, has a receiver down the right side, and it's complete to Simmons. Make it Walker, pardon me.
Equan Walker with the catch. down at the 16-yard line.
He's had a terrific day, the sophomore, the speedster. Fredericks keeping his eyes down the field, wanting to make a play with his arm, and he does so on the move.
There's Duran on the carry to the right side. I'd say Walker plays bigger than he's listed. He's listed at 5'7", but he's had a couple of balls where he's gone up and got them today.
And a point to Lawrence. We're coming up on a minute since the last touchdown, and the Golden Tornadoes are closing in on a score of their own.
Second
And we have a
and
flag on
6
the
from
play.
the
Offside
13-yard
on the
line, and this
Golden
is going to
Tornadoes.
back them up.
Backs him up 5 yards. Still second down.
See the frustration on Christian Fredericks' face. You mentioned at the top of the broadcast, youngest of 5 Fredericks brothers to play for Lawrence. Mama Fredericks still comes to practice.
Big stop by Deon Quinlan. A loss
Andres Durant,
of
nowhere
3.
to run.
3rd down and 14.
Joe
on
Martellotti
the
says she's the
50
only
to
parent that has
Andres
clearance to
Durant.
come to practice. Carte blanche when it comes to the Golden Tornadoes. Amanda's got more.
I actually spoke to Mrs. Fredericks and I said, so how did they look in practice? And she said they looked good this week, but she then told me that she was nervous. She said she's nervous before every game. Could you imagine how many nerves she must have had over the years?
Well, she's not so nervous on that play.
Fredericks completes
Her
to
youngest
Jordan
finding
Alexander.
Jordan Alexander for a touchdown.
42-31.
And the scoreboard is piling up.
The Red Devil lead to 11 with 9:31. And the extra point coming up.
Gets a little smile out of the Lawrence fans that have traveled here to Eastern Nassau County. Trying to go for 2 again. There's Fredericks trying to cut back inside. Fredericks falls forward. Does he have it?
With a 2-point conversion, 42-33.
Yes, he does.
They've been chasing points since late in the second quarter, and finally a 2-point conversion is put on the board. Still, though, a 2-possession game. And on this drive, we've seen Fredericks' ability to keep the play alive and throw accurately on the run. He put that on the mark to Alexander. Running into open space, leading his receiver down the field over the top of the defensive back. And that might not be a throw he could have tossed with confidence last year, but he does it here.
Jordan Alexander has 2 today. Yes, last year Christian Fredericks was making the transition from wide receiver to starting quarterback. He was a bit more dependent on his legs a year ago. Not to say he's not dependent on his legs this year, but very, very balanced, as we talked about earlier in the broadcast. Over 1,000 yards passing, over 1,000 yards rushing on the season.
And really have been impressed more so with his arm today. And we've talked about the family, and this is the legacy of 5 brothers that have come through the Lawrence program. There's a 6th brother, Calvin, the oldest of the Frederick boys, who did not play football at Lawrence. But every season since 2005 until now, 14 seasons of Lawrence football, there's been at least one Fredericks on the sideline for the Golden Tornadoes, as they've won 8 county titles.
Joe Martellotti says it might be a little while before he gets a chance to coach another Fredericks. The oldest brother, Justin, is expecting a baby boy. So he said, if I want to coach one more, I might be Might have to hang around 15 years or so.
And a great line, Christian was a freshman in 2015, was on the JV to start the year, and then he was called up. And somebody asked Joe Martellotti, why is he here? How come you called up Fredericks? We don't really have a role for him. And Joe said, I just feel better when there's a Fredericks on the sideline. For good reason.
I mean, look at the track record. Meanwhile, Plainedge has continued to keep Lawrence at arm's length in this game. A 9-point advantage. Quinlan gets the ball back on the carry into Lawrence territory.
Second down and 2.
Onside kick attempt recovered by Plainedge. Again, another attempt to keep the Lawrence offense on the field. But what it has done repeatedly is give great field position for Red Devils offense that has almost matched the speed of Lawrence in terms of how quickly they can score.
Valari will hand off to Quinlan one more time, right up the middle.
And this is one of those situations where, as a fan, you kind of have the reaction of, well, why can't you just hold the ball here for 5 minutes? Why can't you methodically move it down the field? Well, A, there's a short field to work with, and B, the Red Devils are opening up huge holes. And so you're not in a situation where you're going to see a 10, 15, 20-yard gain as a possibility and only accept 4. So there have been a lot of short field, quick scoring drives for this Plainedge team mixed in with one 5-minute touchdown drive.
Quinlan again. And it's not like they've been looking to throw the ball deep downfield. That's not what their offense is. They've sprinkled in the passing. But Quinlan's got 4 rushing touchdowns today. Valari's got a rushing touchdown. Lombardi's got a rushing touchdown. They've spread the wealth around. But in the first half, they only threw the ball twice. Give to the short back, Mark Cardone.
Mark Cardone getting the handoff, running up the middle, picks up around 3 yards, 3rd down and 4.
But you can see that Rob Shaver is kind of thinking in that direction, right? Trying to, they're running a little bit more between the tackles than we saw earlier in this game.
And also, you're playing a lot more time and score. It's a 2-possession game. And you mentioned at the second quarter, how large will that missed extra point play? And right now, it's extremely important to this game as the Golden Tornadoes chase that point by trying a 2-point conversion 3 times.
Quinlan fights his way forward for a first down, picks up 3.
Picks up
5 rather.
And another Plainedge first down.
It's huge. Every first down, you're looking at another potentially 2 minutes of clock coming off, assuming that you're running the ball and the clock is moving and you're snapping it towards the later stages of the play clock. A difference between 7 minutes to go and 5 minutes to go, up by 9, is enormous.
Quinlan will take it again. But Quinlan
and that's number 50, Javon Johnson.
Didn't have much room to work with that time.
Quinlan in the backfield. He does work his way back towards the line of scrimmage. 52, Nick Pasquariello on the tackle. 2nd down and 11.
Rare carry where Quinlan gets pushed back and lost a yard there on first down.
Again, the high watermark for Plainedge this year in terms of scoring was 2 weeks ago at Roosevelt. 45 points.
Saw the referee counting the play clock.
There's Valari almost broke one off. We've seen that a couple times tonight.
Tripped up by Nick
Takes a lot to bring him down.
The referee starting to count with 10 seconds to go and clocking it the final stretches of the play clock.
Plainedge, first down.
And so as Valari's looking over for the play to see if there's any adjustment, he also has the referee in his sight line and making sure to milk as much clock as he possibly can And we have a look here of really what Valari has been looking at, but does not there on first down.
Quinlan shakes off one tackle, make it two, running to his right, back to the left side. Quinlan, touchdown number 5 today.
Deon Quinlan, 5 touchdowns.
Again, Deon Quinlan came in to this game with 6 touchdowns on the season.
Deon
He's got 5 tonight.
48-43.
You weren't silly to think there was the under, right?
I don't think either of us said under at any point, unless it was
No
preceded
way.
by over. As in, what is the over-under tonight? Boy, Lombardi has done a fantastic job on the PATs in relief. Get that man a drink. Deon Quinlan deserves some cold water after that run.
One of the things I love about this run is he was bottled up initially, and when he broke free, all of his teammates stayed on their blocks. So when he was ready to emerge from the pile and attack that second level, everybody was still engaged. He is making players miss. He is running over them. He is running around them. And he is taking advantage of big holes that have been opened up by this senior-led offensive line. It's amazing to think that entering the year, that was the question mark. How would the 5-man unit hold up? But they've been terrific tonight, Matt. The running game for Plainedge has been terrific, whether it's been the quarterback Valari or Quinlan, Lombardi, Cardone. Everybody's been effective behind the 5-man line of Kokoris, Sweeting, Caltabiano, Mahali, and Parlato.
So a 16-point game, still within 2 possessions. Squib kick picked up by Lawrence at the 20-yard line. Nowhere to go after that.
See, this is what you need to think about big picture, right? Golden Tornadoes score quickly. You know they're going to go for an onside kick. If they finally get one, they have the ball near midfield, down 1 possession, assuming that there are conversions here. Their 2-point conversions are good. And so, again, we're talking comfort. We're talking Plainedge in control, but they're still not there yet. And this is the type of game, as cliche as it is, you only expect Rob Shaver to feel comfortable fully when the clock reads 000.
And Plainedge jumped out to a 21-0 lead after the first quarter. Turnover on downs, a turnover, 3 and out. Lawrence started to find their footing in his second quarter, and they've gotten to a 1-score game at one point. Here's Christian Fredericks in some trouble. Well, that's not going to help.
Orlando Cabrera chases him, and Donovan Pepe gets there.
Well, Fredericks lost the ball. Pepe was the one that brought him down.
Saying he lost the ball out of bounds, and it's going to bring up 2nd down and long.
So they spot the ball at the 18-yard line. So a loss of 8. And it's 2nd down and 18. Frederick standing in the pocket, left side. And it's incomplete, looking for Keaton Goldsby.
3rd and 18.
Rare drop by this typically sure-handed wide receiver core. And what's interesting, I think, from both teams at this point, again, game far from over. You're playing tonight for an undefeated regular season and the #1 seed. You're either 1 or 2. And Joe Martellotti, the entire season, was eyeing this game not for a potential 7-0 versus 7-0 showdown, but because he knew how hard and how physical Plainedge played. And to think that would be your final matchup heading into the playoffs, he wanted to make sure his team would emerge from today healthy.
Fredericks trying to eye towards the sideline. He's going to be a couple yards short.
And Fredericks.
The stick was the 36. He scampered out at the 34-yard line, and that'll bring up 4th down. And you know Lawrence down by 16 is going to go for it here.
4th down and 1.
So officially it's 4th down and 1. 2 receivers bunched to the near side. Hard count, Plainedge stays home. Fredericks in some trouble. Fredericks gonna heave it down the middle of the field, it's caught! What a catch by Jordan Alexander. What a throw by Christian Fredericks to keep the drive alive.
Reed Degroff had Fredericks in his grasp. He frees up his right arm and finds his most trusted receiver and target in Jordan Alexander, the player you expect to make a big-time play in the most crucial moment.
They go right back to work, and Fredericks goes to the ground. Tripped up, lost the ball, or went out of bounds, I should say, at the 42-yard line. And Fredericks has some choice words to the Plainedge sideline where he was tackled.
3-yard pickup, 2nd down and 7.
That throw shades of Eli Manning in Super Bowl 42.
Catch was too clean.
Yeah, I would say so. I said the throw.
Yeah, for sure.
2-yard pickup for Fredericks. 4.5 to go in a 16-point game. Give right up the gut to Duran. Duran's got a 1st down, spinning out of 1 tackle, still on his feet, down to the 20. Guys carrying on his back, and finally brought down at the 18-yard line.
Up the middle, 1st down Lawrence to the 18-yard line.
How's this for some lightning from Mr. Thunder? The quick spin move, and then just dragging tacklers with his 5'9", 195-pound frame.
Fredericks standing back, looks right side, has Alexander. Alexander getting down to the 10-yard line, another good pickup. Clock running, closing in under 4 minutes now. As you can see, both teams have all 3 timeouts. More of a concern for Lawrence at the moment. 2nd down and 1 from the 9. Give. No, a keeper for Fredericks. Spins into the end zone. Touchdown. Oh, man. Half the defense and myself bid on that for a little bit.
A touchdown and a little bit of chirping. And for how impressive of a touchdown that was, trailing by 16, entering this drive, you know you need a couple of 2-point conversions. The only one so far that the Golden Tornadoes have converted on was a Fredericks keeper.
Fredericks will keep it again. Fredericks forward, 2-point conversion, and it's a 1-possession game. 49-41 now. Number 1 says, let's go, guys, get on my shoulders.
Christian Fredericks keeping this drive alive with a 4th down conversion. And then the toss down the field to Alexander. Fredericks earning all 8 points on this scoring drive for the Golden Tornadoes. A touchdown followed by the 2-point conversion. Fredericks walking slowly off the field after taking a beating on that drive. And if this was a traditional special teams, you would say kick it deep, play defense, use a timeout or 2 if you wanted to defensively. But the Golden Tornadoes have been a team that has kicked it short, or they've attempted an onside kick.
Well, it looks like Christian Fredericks and Joe Martellotti are kind of having that conversation right now. Martellotti pointed up to the scoreboard. And a much maligned defense for the Golden Tornadoes
if they can't recover this onside kick, will have their biggest moment of the night.
Plainedge fully expecting it. The only one back is Lombardi. Wong, the second kicker on the depth chart, because Reyes is playing a soccer game tonight. Kind of a line drive kick. Plainedge falls on top of it.
And the onside kick is recovered
And
by
much to Rob
Plainedge.
Shaver's liking, an anticlimactic recovery.
So here's this moment for the Golden Tornado defense. They fell into an early 21-0 hole, and in a lot of ways, it's hard to put the totality of the 49 points on them because of the short field that they've consistently had to defend. But whatever they've got, whatever they have left, Lawrence needs it here. You see big number 50 right in the middle. Javon Johnson returning to his defensive tackle position this week after missing last week. A senior captain right in the middle of the defense for Lawrence.
3:40 to go. Give up the gut to Quinlan. And Quinlan,
moving the pile,
without breaking a sweat, gets 8. And this is going to be the hard thing, David, is you know that Plainedge is not going airborne at any point. So if they are going to create a turnover, it's going to have to be a forced fumble.
Plainedge is a team that is known for getting off of the line quickly, getting off the ball, and this 5-man unit has been terrific tonight. Kokoris at left tackle, Caltabiano at center, starting every game this season, but those 5 individuals have been tremendous tonight.
Valari up the gut. You can see,
picks up a
did not get there, yard short.
You can see Pasquarello trying to rip that thing out of Valari's hands. And now a big 3rd down.
Might have seen Lawrence use a timeout there, but they're allowing this clock to run.
Looks like Plainedge is going to take a timeout once this clock winds down to 0 on the play clock. Rob Shaver talking to the near side official. So the clock winds all the way down to 2:15.
2:15 remaining.
Preseason number 5 for Plainedge, coming off of back-to-back years where they lost in the quarterfinals, made the playoffs, but didn't advance to Hofstra after a run of about 15 straight years, coming off of a year in 2015 where they were county champs and lost in the Long Island Championship to Sayville. 13-14, part of that 5-year run in which they made it to the county finals, losing to Lawrence at 14-13. And it was so interesting listening to Rob Shaver. His most thorough, most introspective answer came when we asked him about this season and expectation, and he said, I needed to be more focused. I needed to be more diligent. We had lost some coaches, and our confidence was hurt. As they pick it
down, Lawrence unable to get the stop. Plainedge on 3rd and short punches it through.
And for Rob Shaver to say that after those tough couple of years, the confidence might have been a little bit shattered, but under Coach Shaver's leadership, the kids have really responded, and they're 2 minutes away from a perfect regular season, capping the year off with the takedown of the preseason number 1 after they were ranked 5th.
Give to Quinlan again as Quinlan cuts back inside. Quinlan carrying 3 guys with him. Lawrence trying to rip it out. And Quinlan putting a priority on ball security.
Inside the 20-yard line, another Plainedge.
David, I think your point is well taken.
Timeout, Lawrence.
As Lawrence now takes a timeout. Another look at the run by Quinlan, who's had a fantastic night. 5 touchdowns. Over 100 yards on the ground. But it's got to be hard for somebody who's been a head coach for 22 seasons with the amount of success that he's had to sort of check the ego, reevaluate his role in the shortcomings by their standards that they've had over the last couple of years and make that change.
Yeah, you're talking a couple of years by most standards, which would be okay. And dissecting last year where they went 6-3, they lost in the 4-5 game to their rival Bethpage. And in their 6-2 regular season, they took down the top 2 seeds in the playoffs. They were the only Nassau County team to beat Lawrence last year.
First and 10 from the 19. Quinlan going back to work.
And that's Deon Quinlan again.
Boy, credit the offensive line tonight. Quinlan hits the hole, and all of a sudden he's picked up 6 yards.
And this would be a scenario where you do want to go down and not score that touchdown. And we build tonight 7-0 against 7-0. Last 2 remaining undefeated teams in Conference 3. Final week of the regular season as both these teams eye a playoff run. And I think both coaches in some respects downplayed the importance of this game. Of course, you want to win. You want to beat the opposition. But ultimately, the #1 goal is to add your name to this list, to win a county championship. And Lawrence, most likely, if the result holds, will enter as the #2 seed, looking to defend their championship. But thinking of 2013, they lost to Plainedge in the regular season and beat the Red Devils in the finals. And you don't want to say anything as a foregone conclusion when you include teams like Wantagh and Roosevelt and Bethpage. But there's a very good chance, as these 2 teams have separated themselves from the pack, that we are looking at a preview of the county championship.
Don't forget Southside. They haven't played any of the big boys, so to speak, but because of the low seed preseason, they do have a 6-1 record as well. Valari will keep it and force Lawrence to use their last timeout.
Here's the delicate nature of really what we're watching, Matt. A 3rd down and short is upcoming. Lawrence is out of timeouts. And it's still just a 1-possession game. So you've got to take care of the football. You've got to make sure that you complete your runs. I mean, we joked earlier about over-unders. If we were to have a win probability, Plainedge would be hovering close to 100% right now. But this is about completing a game and finishing this off and making sure that Lawrence's offense doesn't touch the ball again. And you have a couple of plays here to end a game, to pick up that 1st down. And it's a really fitting way, I think, for the Red Devils. They've been physical up front. They've been dominant up front most of the time with just 5 without needing a tight end or an extra lineman to impose their will in the trenches. And here they are needing 2 yards to put the game away and to seal a perfect regular season.
If they were to come up short here, Luke Lombardi has looked very good on the point afters tonight. Do you think Rob Shaver would have the confidence in number 5 to try and drill a potential game-winning field goal? A lot to play out before then. Valari will give to Quinlan. Quinlan hits the line. Looks like he's got enough forward progress. He does by a couple of yards. And a 1st down for Plainedge. That'll just about put the game away with Lawrence out of timeouts.
You know, last year, it came down to the final 5 seconds. This season in the regular season, the game was in doubt until 1:26 to go. Fitting that a between the tackles, hard-nosed run seals things for the Red Devils.
I think also give a ton of credit to Lawrence. They were down 21-0 after the 1st quarter in this game, and it looked like Plainedge could blow this thing open. But they came back and they made a game of it and never allowed, as you said, Plainedge to get comfortable at any point tonight until now.
The clock is
90 combined points.
5 touchdowns on the night.
Always take the over.
Deon Quinlan. Dan Villari
Whenever
and
Lawrence is involved,
Lombardi
especially.
added the other 2 rushing touchdowns.
Another
49,
shootout.
41.
Another offensive display from both teams. And a bunch of junior skill position players and an offensive line of unknowns
And with that
has
final
just
kill,
wrapped up
your
a
Plainedge
perfect
Red Devils
8-0 regular
have a
season.
8-0
So a junior class has come in and made their mark for Plainedge. Led by Deon Quinlan tonight, 5 rushing touchdowns when he had 6 on the season coming into tonight. The Red Devils have run the table in the regular season. For them, there's still work to do over the next few weeks, but a satisfying Friday night here at Plainedge High School. So in New York comes on over the PA system here. As the Plainedge fans are in a celebratory mood as they head home, and Rob Shaver and Coach Martellotti, they probably said we'll see you soon, as these two teams, I'd imagine, anticipate seeing each other again in the finals. So Lawrence handed their first loss of the season. Plainedge finishes the regular season at 8-0, 49-41 tonight at home, as the Red Devils go 8-0 in the regular season. Plainedge jumped out to a 21-0 lead after 1 quarter of play, and in the end it was just a hair too much for Lawrence to come back from. Plainedge defeats Lawrence 49-41 tonight back at Plainedge High School. Match shortest David Resnick along with Amanda Puglisi. And Dan Villari, the 6'3", 200-pound junior quarterback. He was a tough guy to bring down all night. This is our News 12 varsity play of the game.
Red Devils were just getting started at this point, up 7-0, taking a 14-0 lead in the first quarter on the way to the aforementioned 21-0 start. The tenacity, the drive, the missed tackles, the determination, everything in that run for Dan Villari.
And in the backfield along with Villari, Deon Quinlan had 5 running touchdowns tonight for Plainedge. He's down on the field with Amanda Puglisi.
Deon, it was a fast start, 21-0. Your offense scored on its first 3 possessions. What do you think was the key to that?
Blocking up front and just getting through the hole and running my hardest. The guys up front did great, so that's what it came down to, and they just left it up to me, and I got it done.
Lawrence came out strong in that second quarter, and the rest of the way it seemed that you guys were just trading touchdowns back and forth. How were you able to break their momentum?
Just don't let the long touchdowns get to us, and just come right back at them. And if they're going to score deep, we're just going to score on the ground. So we'll just keep pounding it.
There were a lot of timeouts called in the final 2 minutes of the game. So what was Coach Shaver saying in the huddle?
Just hold the ball, don't let it come out, and let's just keep grounding and pounding it.
A perfect 8-0, but I'm sure you have your sights set on the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. And LIC.
And LIC. All right, guys, back to you.
And why not? From a 5 seed preseason to 8-0 in the regular season. And knocking off the defending Nassau County champions tonight in the Lawrence Golden Tornadoes. This Plainedge team looks balanced. They look physical. They look tenacious. And why wouldn't they be one of the favorites to come out of Nassau County and head to an LIC?
A lot of times a running attack is not associated with high-powered dynamic offense. But I think for Plainedge, they have so many different options out of the backfield. At this point, Villari can make the throws and is a capable quarterback. But if you could ride the offensive line the way the Red Devils did tonight, they will be a tough postseason out, especially when it starts to get a little bit colder and more windy and tougher to play into November.
So Plainedge, with the win tonight, they capture the top seed in Nassau County Conference 3, handing Lawrence their first loss of the year. It started off quick for Plainedge. a touchdown off of a turnover. They scored back-to-back touchdowns and jumped down 21-0 after a full quarter of play. And they pretty much held on to that the rest of the way, but credit Lawrence for coming back and making it a close game, only an 8-point game in the end. So we thank you for watching. For everybody involved in our broadcast tonight, our entire News 12 Varsity crew, Amanda Puglisi, David Resnick, I'm Matt Shortis saying so long. We'll catch you next time as we are on to the playoffs around the Tri-State. Plainedge is too, as the top seed in Nassau County's Conference 3. An 8-0 regular season for the Red Devils. So long, everybody. Have a good night.